Tantor Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents Diary of a Madman, The Geto Boys, Life, Death, and the Roots of Southern Rap, by Brad Scarface Jordan. Foreword by Benjamin Meadows Ingram. Narrated by J.D. Jackson. Foreword. Calling Brad Jordan a genius is simply just too lazy. It's overstood. I always call him by his government and given name, because if the name Jordan typifies greatness in sports and culture today, then this Jordan of rap clearly is that cat. The dude is also Thelonious Monk reincarnated in spit. He gives off the impression that he is just merely squeezing the surface of his skill sets from his vast mind. It's hard to tell what is swirling next in his hip-hop vision, and that unpredictability has led to pioneering the trill ground of Houston, Texas, and the whole damn South for that matter. I remember speaking at a university in Kansas City in 1990 at the beginnings of my lecture circuit career. After the event, my rap crew buddies DeHedius and Jay Lee of the Heat Mob took me to a party where the DJ played this new record he'd just gotten at least 6 times. Geto Boys, Mind Playing Tricks on Me. I had embraced the Geto Boys in my first tour travels to H-Town. In the hotel lobby post-concert, usually it was DJ Ready Red and Bushwick Bill who stood out. Mr. Willie Dennis also became a friend of mine. The PE crew and I were fans of his out-front confrontational style. I got to know them better while touring together later on, including the usually quiet Scarface. Usually in the background and cordial still, it seemed like there were 3 dudes in the same body. That's when I simply started to call him Mr. Brad Jordan. Mr. Brad Jordan's achievements since those early days are folklore now, lyrical lines of legend. As Baird Flatline Warnick, the curator of my site hiphopgods.com at hiphopgods says, Scarface has lyrics that you can feel and wear. It could be said that Brad Jordan is one of the best to ever do it. It could be said he's the realest and the truest, and that he's one of the greatest to ever touch a mic. This could be debated all day long, but what can't be debated is the enormous impact he's had on hip-hop culture from day one. What also can't be debated is that he is a true artist, one who approaches hip-hop as what it truly is at its core, art. And therein lies my comparison to Monk. Brad Jordan is an artist with words as a tool or a weapon. With laser-like precision, he is able to craft entire songs and albums as part of the Geto Boys or on the solo tip, unlike anyone else. He can put the fear of God in you, turn around and uplift you, then take you down a path that you never saw coming. He can put fear into your heart and also touch your soul at the same time. He can take you on a journey to the dark side and also bring you to the light. That is the beauty of what he does. There is so much to him, so many layers to peel back as an MC, as an artist, and as a man. Hip-hop needs more artists like him, but he is a true original. The longevity, the ability to produce such a huge body of classic work is staggering and yet should come as no surprise. His work ethic and dedication to his craft is unparalleled in an industry where you're here today and gone tomorrow. Singles and albums by Scarface are always met with the highest level of anticipation because, as a fan of the man, you know he will always deliver. You also have to wonder what kind of jewel or quotable lines he might say next. Those who take the time to listen are rewarded every time. And looking back on his career, the track record proves itself. Classic albums recorded as part of the Geto Boys are essential listening, while his solo projects prove time and time again why he is considered one of the greats, and we should celebrate that. We should celebrate how he is able to fly the flag for hip-hop music, how throughout his career he's been able to make an impact far greater than just being a rapper from the South. Forget Stephen King. In hip-hop and rap, Brad Jordan is bigger than that. He has created and crafted timeless music, kicked down the doors in the name of hip-hop, and he demands respect. Chuck D. Introduction. My life happened so fast. One minute I'm in the hospital depressed, and the next minute I'm at James Prince's ranch recording an album with a bunch of motherfuckers I hardly know. One minute I ain't got a dime in my pocket. The next minute I'm buying houses and cars on fucking credit cards. One minute I'm just another nigga with no father from the south side of Houston, Texas. The next minute, motherfuckers are calling me the godfather of southern rap, whatever that means. I came from the least of the least, and I've had the most of the most. But more than anything, I am you. If you don't know me or my career, or who I am or what I've done, that's what I tell you. I am you. I'm the way you think and the way you feel. The things you've seen and loved, and the things you've seen that you can never unsee. I'm your hopes and your fears. The quiet, dark moments that house the secrets that you hold tight deep at night, and the loud public moments that grip and rip your block in broad daylight. I'm the pain and the progress, the sadness and the celebration, the dream and the nightmare. I am you. I am your voice. I am the voice of the streets. I'm Brad. I'm Face. I am Brother Mob. I'm Scarface. I gave my life to this game. I'm the realest who's ever done it. I am the truth. And this is my story. Part 1. Southside. Chapter 1. Mind playing tricks on me. Looking back, I think I just wanted the attention. I see that now. But back then, I felt like attention was the last thing I wanted. I wouldn't have been able to tell you if it was any one specific thing that had pushed me to that point. I just know that I was mad and sad. And I know that I felt like no one wanted me. My daddy was dead, and my mama didn't want me. I didn't really get along with my stepdad, and my grandma already had 9 kids of her own, so there wasn't really a place for me at her house either. I just felt like I couldn't do shit right, and the only way I could get any attention was by fucking up. No one would come to watch me play football or check out my baseball games or any shit like that. But as soon as I popped some kid in the face or busted somebody's head open in class, everyone was there, telling me I was fucked up for what I'd done, trying to take away my privileges and shit like that. That was the attention I was getting, for being a fuck-up. I was always being punished or outcast from the rest of the family because of some shit I had done. So every conversation at home was like, "Oh, you know they caught him with some weed, huh?" Or, "You know he was back there selling dope." Or, "You know he got an F on his report card." Or, "You know he hit that boy in the head with that baseball bat." There was just always some kind of fucked up shit going on with me. And by the time I was 13, I was over it. I felt like everyone, my teachers, my classmates, the other parents in the neighborhood, my own family, was mad at me and on some fuck you shit. So to me it was like, fuck you too then. Shit. You don't have to tell me twice. I would spend a lot of time alone. I'd go in my room at my mom's house and not come out for weeks, just trying to find me. And I didn't always like what I found. I was raised with the idea that I was born dying, that with every breath you take, you get closer to your last. It's something I've always known. So my mentality, even back then, was always, what's the worst that could happen? That I could die or be killed? But I'm born dying, so death is inevitable. Why should I be scared of that? So being alone just gave me something to really think about. And with shit going so wrong for me then, and with me constantly feeling like everything was fucked and I couldn't do anything right, the conclusion I came to was that I might as well just get it over with. Fuck it. I don't remember too much about that particular day, but I know I was ready for it to be done. I was ready to get up out this bitch. So I went in my mother's medicine cabinet and took all of her blood pressure medication, as much as I could find. I woke up on the bathroom floor with the ambulance parked outside and the paramedics trying to get me up and out the door. They took me to the hospital and gave me this stuff, Ipecac, to clean out my stomach. I spent the whole next day puking my guts out. It was disgusting. I thought that shit was going to kill me. It was like, damn, you brought me all the way here to do me in like this? You could have just left me on the floor and saved everyone a hell of a lot of trouble. I could have gone out easily. Shit. But of course, the Ipecac didn't kill me. It probably saved my life. Once they knew my stomach was clear of all the pills and I wasn't going to die, they let me go. But then the next day, my mama brought me back. I thought we were going for a follow-up or a checkup or some shit. But then she just left me there. Dropped me off on the mental health floor of Houston International Hospital. And that became my life. See, it wasn't like that was the first time I tried to kill myself. I'd been trying to take my own life for years. You name it, I'd tried it. Slitting my wrists with a box cutter and bleeding out all over the bathroom floor. Putting loaded guns to my head, all of that shit. If you'd asked me then, I'd have told you straight up. I was ready to go. But I never did it. I never cut myself deep enough or far enough away from my family to be left alone and die. I never pulled the trigger. I never went all the way. That's why I say that I think I really just wanted the attention. If you really want to go, the dying is the easy part. It's the living that's hard. That shit takes a lifetime, and it will test you every step of the way. Chapter 2. The Foundation. I come from a prominent family of musicians and artists. The music is in my blood. Mademoiselle, named after my grandfather's girlfriend. How deep is that? She worked as an accountant at a hospital for over 20 years, but she was a singer before all of that. At one point, she even had a group, the Watermelons, with her sister Marva and her brother Wayne. My father was Blush Jordan, but I never knew him. He left when I was young, and he was shot dead not too long after that. My stepdad, Willie, was more of a daddy to me than my father ever was. He worked in computers at an energy company, Digicon, and DJ'd on the side. He knew how to play the game. He was always on the hustle, drying weed in the closet and doing whatever he had to do to help us get by. My cousin is Johnny Nash. His big record is I Can See Clearly Now, and he recorded reggae in Jamaica and wrote with Bob Marley. My grandma, Rosemary, was a gospel singer. She was always singing in the house, and she had an angelic voice. When she sang, it sounded like opera. And then there were my uncles. I had a lot of them, and they were always around fidgeting with something and making music. I spent a lot of time over at my grandma's house growing up, and when everybody would take smoke breaks, I would go fumble around and play the instruments. I was a product of that environment. I think the first language I learned to speak was music. My grandfather was named Wayne. He wasn't a trained musician, but he taught himself guitar. He was one of the first black master plumbers in Texas, and if you ask anybody in my neighborhood, they'll tell you he was a bad motherfucker. He was tough as nails and strong as hell. He could hit you so hard it'd make you piss. He also always kept a gun, and he would not hesitate to bring that pistol out and put it on your ass. My grandma don't take no shit either. She's Fifth Ward born and bred and hard as a sledgehammer. She's still alive as this book goes to print, and even today at 86, she still doesn't play. We were like our own little colony over there in South Acres on the south side of Houston, Texas. My mama was the second oldest of my grandparents' 9 kids, and she was 21 when she had me. I was born on November 9th, 1970, the firstborn grandson, which made me kind of like my grandma's last child, her 10th, because she raised me. My mama was more like a sister to me. I didn't see her as much as I saw my grandma. She would come pick me up from my grandma's house and take me to her house, but I was always bored over there. I preferred being at my grandma's house on Holloway. I had 3 aunts, Joey, Jean, and Marva, and I had 5 uncles, Eddie, Eric, Shine, Rodney, and Wayne. My uncles were always getting into something. There was always something going on at Grandma's house, and there was always something to learn. When I first started showing interest in music, my Aunt Marva turned me on to Steel Pulse and Andreas Vollenweider, and Aunt Joey put me on George Duke and Stanley Clark. But it was my uncles who taught me things. They could tell I was in love with it, even at an early age. My Uncle Eddie bought me my first electric guitar when I turned 8. I learned how to play it upside down because my whole family is left-handed, including me. When my uncle finally started stringing it up right, I had to take lessons to learn how to play it the right way. Years later, I would get Uncle Eddie to play on my records. He's bad on the bass, and he always knew how to find the most incredible grooves. My first love was rock. That's what they played at my grandma's house, and that's what I grew up jamming, rock and soul. It was kind of like what you might think of as R&B today, but they didn't call it that back then. It was music for your soul. The first album I ever owned was Boston's Boston. My mama bought it for me. The second album I ever owned was the Kiss Dynasty album. I was 8 years old when it came out in the spring of 1979, and I wanted that album so badly I cried about it. Willie whipped my ass pretty good over it too, because I gave my mama such a hard time. But I loved Kiss. That was the band I most wanted to be like when I was a kid. I thought their whole shit was hard, with the face paint and everything. They were my childhood idols. I remember they toured that album that same year, and I begged and begged to go to the show, but my parents wouldn't let me. 20 years later, I got to see Kiss 3 times in Los Angeles at the Great Western Forum. I called my mama and told her that it was well worth the wait. The first concert I ever went to was Earth, Wind and Fire at the Miller Outdoor Theater. Chaka Khan was there too. I was super young, and I don't remember too much about it, but I know it was raining, we were close to the stage, and they jammed like a motherfucker. I saw Bootsy Collins, George Clinton in Parliament not too long after that, and between those 2 shows, I knew I wanted to make music. I knew I wanted to be a performer. Chapter 3. Rock Box. When I was 4 years old, I told my grandfather that I was going to buy him a new house and a new boat and do a whole bunch of concerts for him. I had no idea what impact I'd have on the world, but I always imagined standing in front of people and playing my shit. There was nothing else that I wanted to do. The first time I performed in front of a crowd was at the school talent show when I was in the 6th grade. I played guitar in a little garage band with some of my buddies from the neighborhood. We called ourselves High Energy, and we played a lot of AC/DC, Black Sabbath, Iron Maiden, and shit like that. I don't think I had even heard any rap records until 1978 or 1979. Not that there were a ton of them floating around before then, but still. Even when I got an 8-track tape of Curtis Blow's Way Out West, I remember Willie coming home and tearing my ass up because I'd blown the speakers out on his system playing the song on guitar. I listened to everything, but I didn't care what anyone else was doing. I wanted to play rock and roll. That all changed when I transferred into Woodson Middle School in the 7th grade. Woodson was an all-black school in my neighborhood. This was 1982, 1983. and rap was really starting to take hold. I'm talking we were in it. It was hip-hop, and we were all about the four elements: breakdancing, graffiti, DJing, and rapping. That's all we talked about. That's damn near all we did. I remember being so into it that we'd take little plastic action figures and stick coins in their backs so we could make them do backspins on the lunch tables or in class. We were that down. But it was Run DMC that really fucked us up. When they came out with Run DMC, we were gone. They were too hard. I fucked with that shit heavy. We all did. And then records like Rock Box and later Beastie Boys' Fight for Your Right and No Sleep Till Brooklyn made all of the rock shit I've been doing and my whole background cool. And just like I'd always had a guitar, I'd always had 2 turntables and a microphone. So when rap became the thing, I was ready to go. I never really took to graffiti or breakdancing too tough, but I was about the music. I started beatboxing and learning to DJ, and as soon as I started fucking with it, I wanted to be the best. I've always been competitive. It didn't matter what we were doing. If we were rocking out, I was going to be the coldest on guitar. If we were fighting, I was going to be the first one in and the last one out. When we started selling dope, I was going to sell the most or I was going to take it. One way or the other, I was always going to come out on top. That's just how it is with me. I don't know no quit. So whatever we had going on, I wanted to be the best at it. I had to be. Failure wasn't an option. I still don't know any other way. So with music, that's exactly how it was. Once I started DJing, I was determined to be the best. I'm talking everything. The best blends, the best mixes, the best cuts, the best records, all of it. Shit, I even started rapping so I could be a better DJ. You can blame Houdini's Grandmaster D for that. He was a DJ who could rap, and I just knew that I could out-rap him. So I started rapping because I wanted to make sure that if I ever got into a battle with a DJ who could rap, I'd have all of my bases covered. I was determined that I wouldn't go down. Even if that motherfucker started rapping, I was going to douse his ass no matter what. And shit, once I'd made that choice, there wasn't any question. I wasn't just going to be a DJ who could rap. I was going to be the best rapper at my school. I was going to be the coldest DJ rapper you ever heard. And I was, too. I would take time and write my rhymes, and nobody could fuck with me. But to be honest, I was kind of cheating. I had a cousin in New York who was just a few years younger than me. She lived in Harlem, and I'd get on the phone with her and get all kinds of records from her early on, before that shit got down to us. So while everybody was at school still kicking those hippity-hippity rhymes, I was already ahead of the game on some blast rap terrorist shit that was just becoming the sound of New York. I called myself DJ Action for All Crazy Shit Has Ended Now. I'm telling you, I was that cold, boy. Even then. Chapter 4. Mind of a Lunatic. When they first checked me in on the mental health floor at Houston International, I thought I was entering into some sort of outpatient treatment. I'd been depressed since I was young, and I just tried to kill myself again. I figured they wanted me to talk to a doctor before they sent me back home, but that wasn't the case at all. They diagnosed me with bipolar disorder and put me on lithium and Mellaril to try to even me out. They pulled Mellaril off the market in the early 2000s, but sometimes I think I should still be on lithium today. Then my mama left me in that motherfucker, and I spent the better part of the next 2 years at Houston International and Memorial Hermann hospitals. I lived there, went to school there, went through therapy there, the whole shit, while supervised and medicated. I'd get out every once in a while and get to go home, but being in the hospital was my life for months at a time. Those years were tough. She did what she had to do. I didn't understand it, but it was what it was. There wasn't anything glamorous about getting treatment at Herman and HIH. It wasn't like we were at a special campus or some great facilities off next to a lake or near the beach or in the mountains or any shit like that. It was just being on a floor at the city hospital like any other floor, except I was surrounded by a bunch of people who were having some serious mental health issues. It was mostly adolescents, from rebelling teens to heavy drug users. And it was all white kids, with a few black kids who thought they were white. I was probably the only nigga in there. I remember there was one kid, John. He was kind of off too, but he was always trying to be a badass or something. He was a little taller and bigger than everyone else, and he rubbed me the wrong way. You know those hot-shot-ass white boys who try to act tough or some shit? He was one of those. Well, we all shared a room together, 3 men, 3 bunks. And one day he must have told on me for some shit or touched my radio or something. I don't know what it was that finally set me off. But I know this. Whatever he did, I beat his motherfucking ass. Now, of course that shit will get you into trouble. You can't just go around beating everybody's ass like that when you're in a supervised, controlled environment like a school, a hospital, or jail. And when you go crazy on someone in the hospital, it's not just you against him. It's you against the 5 or 6 motherfuckers that come to hold you down. But sometimes you've just got to do what you've got to do to make sure all of the motherfuckers in there with you know what it is. Fuck what comes behind it. Like in that situation with John. After that fight, they shot me full of Thorazine and put me in an isolation area called the Quiet Room for a bit. But I ain't have another problem with any of those kids that whole stretch. They knew what it was, and they knew what everyone on my block had already learned long ago. Do not fuck with Brad, because Brad will fuck you up. But as much as I wasn't one to play with, eventually I realized that those motherfuckers weren't playing with that mental health shit either. I learned a lot from that period in my life, but one of the biggest lessons was that no matter how hard you want it, you can't feel happy or relieved or secure or even sad just because somebody tells you that's how you're supposed to feel. It just doesn't work that way. At least not for me. I'm entitled to my own feelings and my own opinions. So if I want to be sad about some shit, I'm going to be sad about it. And there's no amount of therapy that's going to change that. But that's not what they're looking for. They want to believe that their shit is working and that their way is the right way. It took me a minute to figure it out, and it got to the point where I couldn't even stand the idea of going to the Quiet Room. But once I saw what it was and how it worked, I knew I had to do whatever the fuck I had to do to get out of there, or they would have me locked up for a long time. So I did what I had to do. I shut up when they told me to shut up. I went where they said I had to go. I went through the therapy they prescribed. I stopped kicking motherfuckers' asses every time they did some little shit that set me off, and I bullshitted my way through the program and did everything I could to feel better about shit and get my ass up out of there as quickly as possible. It was either that or spend the rest of my life in the county psych ward. And that would have been that. There wouldn't have been a Scarface. There damn near wouldn't have been a Brad. I would have been just another black boy lost in the system, neglected, forgotten, and locked away by a society that never wanted me in the first place. Fuck that. I saw what it was, straightened up, played the game the way they wanted it to be played, and by the time I was 15, I was done. A year later, I signed my first record deal. Chapter 5. Dope Game Cocaine. The first time I saw dope was probably 1982 or 1983. Some people I knew would get it and bring it home and cook it up. They'd have a butane burner and a beaker, and they'd cook it up, pop the rock out of the beaker, and fire it up. See, back then it was cool. You could smoke crack and be functional. Shit, I knew guys who were smoking crack and still bringing home something like $50,000 a year. And this was back in the early 80s when that was good money. I really believe that crack didn't get fucked up.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?